Want to know why? Ask how. Howard the Humongous.
Tuesday, February 4th, a little after 5 p.m., President Donald Trump made a series of statements on Gaza that stunned the world. He proposed that the people of Gaza be moved to Egypt and Jordan. President Trump said that America would go into Gaza with armed troops, if necessary, that America would clear the land of 30,000 pieces of unexploded ammunition, would bulldoze what was left of the buildings destroyed in the Gaza war, and that America would take advantage of the 25 miles of Gaza's beaches to build a Riviera, a coastal resort where the rich from all over the world could play. A resort that would, quote, supply an unlimited number of jobs and housing for the people of the area, in Mr. Trump's words. America, Trump said, would own Gaza. This was one of the most startling foreign policy statements made by an American president in history, and it drew an immediate backlash. 5 Arab states instantly said no. Newspapers all over the world said that the relocation of the Palestinians would be an act of ethnic cleansing. It would be a war crime. The United States agreed. But what drove Trump to say such a thing? Trump's 40-minute press conference took place at the White House. Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, was at the president's side. At one point, Trump took out his pen and said, "See this wonderful pen?" Then he pointed to the big desk in front of him and explained, "My desk is the Middle East, and this pen, the top, that's Israel." Sounds outlandish, right? But Trump was on target. In 1947, the United Nations promised to split Palestine in two. 55% would go to the Jews. The other 45% would go to the Arabs. Those Arabs already had 22 nations and a territory 40% larger than the United States. So why in the world do they need more land? What's more, in 1921, Britain had already taken 77% of Palestine and turned it into a new Arab nation, Jordan. So Jordan was literally a Palestinian state. Yes, 77% of Palestine had been turned into a Palestinian state. Then the remaining 23% was split between Arabs and Jews. The result was that Israel had been promised 50% of Palestine, but it got less than 13%. And the new Jewish state was so tiny that in the center of the country, Israel was only 5 miles wide. But why give Israel to the Jews at all? Because Jews originally settled in Israel 3,200 years ago. That's over 2,000 years before the Navajo settled in the American Southwest. Since the settlement of Jews in Israel, more imperialist colonial empires have tried to ethnically cleanse Israel's Jews than just about any other people in world history. First came the Assyrians, then the Babylonians, then the Romans, and finally the Muslims. 1,386 years ago, the Muslims invaded Israel and sent in Saudi Arabians to rule the place. So it's the Muslims who are the occupiers of Palestine, not the Jews. In fact, the Jews are Palestine's indigenous people. For proof, you can read the stories of the Jews in Israel in your Bible. There's good reason that Egypt and Jordan don't want the Palestinians from Gaza living in their territories. In 1948, when Israel was first founded as a modern state, 5 Muslim nations decided to attack and wipe Israel off the face of the map. Anticipating the violence, 85% of the Arabs in Israel fled or were expelled. But Israel surprised the world and won the war. In the 1960s, the Muslim refugees renamed themselves Palestinians. Led by Yasser Arafat, they stole homes and cars in Jordan, were rumored to have put 9-inch nails through the heads of Jordanian soldiers, then tried to unseat Jordan's king. In 1970, Jordan's ruler couldn't take it anymore and mounted a war against the Palestinians. In that war, between 3,000 and 15,000 Palestinians were killed by their fellow Arabs. The event was commemorated as Black September, and the name Black September was used for a terrorist group that killed roughly 8 Israeli athletes in an Olympics over 30 years ago. The remaining Palestinians were driven out of Jordan and settled all over the Middle East, especially in Lebanon, where again they made trouble and wars. That's why the Jordanians and the Egyptians want nothing to do with the people of Gaza. The Palestinians could destabilize and possibly destroy their nations. This is Howard Bloom, speaking to you from the future. It's your job and my job to make. Or, want to know why? Ask how. And now, on this new camera apparatus, to figure out how the heck to turn it off. Mwah.